This is a video about basic point selection for TCM patterns. For those who haven't had this information or for those who need a review, this is for you. This is a very simple methodology for constructing point combinations. It uses primarily very commonly used points. Other points with similar or more specialized functions may be substituted as you like. Some points are marked with an asterisk. This means the point should be treated by moxibustion. This is not a complete list of points for these conditions. This is not necessarily the best points for these conditions. This is just a methodology for using very commonly used points and putting them together in combinations to build a treatment. First, let's talk about substance patterns. And by substance patterns, I mean patterns involving vital substances like qi, blood, fluids, essence, and spirit are also considered to be substances, but those will be covered under the organ patterns. So for now, we'll consider qi, blood, and fluids. For qi, we will look at the pathologies of deficiency and excess, qi deficiency being qi deficiency, sinking qi, qi excess being qi stagnation. Qi deficiency, we look at the function of the spleen and the middle burner, which is to say spleen and stomach. The classic combination for this is stomach 36 and spleen 6. Typically, when those 2 points are combined, they are there to treat qi deficiency. Also, Ren 6, which is the C of qi, qi high, is a very commonly used point for the qi, not only qi deficiency, but also qi stagnation. But here we're combining it with stomach 36 and spleen 6, which gives it the function of helping to supplement the qi. For qi stagnation, we look at the liver because the liver is in charge of free coursing the qi. And so we see points like liver 3, which is the source point, and liver 14, and liver 14 is the moo point or alarm point for the liver, and Li4, which is very commonly combined with liver 3 in order to move qi and blood. So liver 3, liver 14, especially if there is subcostal pain, pain around the ribs, and Li4 combined with liver 3 to move qi and blood. For sinking qi, we're looking at a deficiency syndrome that typically will involve prolapse or other kinds of fatigue, sagging body structures. The idea is to lift, and for this we use do 20 Bai Hui, 100 meetings at the top of the head, as well as stomach 36 and Ren 6. For blood patterns, typically you will see points like bladder 17 and spleen 10. There are relatively few points that are specifically used for blood pathologies, and so bladder 17 and spleen 10 become pretty reliable markers on an exam that there is blood somehow involved. Bladder 17 typically will be treated with moxibustion for blood deficiency. Also, it is commonly combined with points like spleen 6 to help to build the blood. Spleen 6 is a point of intersection of the spleen with the liver and kidney, all of which are involved in the making and storage of blood. Also, you may see points like bladder 20, which is the back shoe point for the spleen, remembering that the spleen builds the blood. Bladder 17 may be used in cases of blood stasis as well, but very often in excess pathologies, blood stasis, blood heat, you will see spleen 10. Spleen 10 is combined with points that move the qi, like liver 3 and Li4 in order to treat blood stasis. And for blood heat, very commonly you will see points like bladder 40, which is pricked to bleed in order to cool the blood. For fluids, Jing and Shen, we will be looking at the patterns involved with the organs that are primarily associated with those substances. Pathogen patterns. Pathogen patterns involve the 6 evils and secondary pathogens such as phlegm. For our 6 evils, very commonly we divide them into exterior and interior manifestations. For wind, the exterior manifestation typically involves the skin. It involves the invasion of wind into the striations or pores of the skin, and so we use points to help to regulate the surface and regulate sweating. So very commonly you'll see points like Li4 and lung 7 used together to release the exterior, regulate sweating. Also, in wind syndromes, you will see points that have the wind character in their name, like gallbladder 20, feng chi, which is wind pool, and bladder 12, feng men, which is the wind gate. For interior wind, we look at manifestations such as involuntary movement, tremors, spasms, convulsions, and these are things which typically involve the nervous system in terms of biomedicine, and the Dumai is one of the major ways in which we can influence the central nervous system and brain. So you will see Dumai points, especially Du 16, which has a wind character in the name, Feng Fu or Wind Mansion, and Du 20, which is the 100 meetings point by way at the top of the head, and also gallbladder 20, Feng Chi, the pool of wind, and then gallbladder 31, Feng Shi, which is especially for wind in the lower part of the body, that is to say, in the lower limbs. Exterior cold is basically the same as wind cold, so we see the same points, Li4 and lung 7 to regulate the exterior, and bladder 12 to help to eliminate wind. Interior cold, typically in interior cold, we look at manifestations such as abdominal pain, vomiting, etc. And so typically we will use moxibustion on some of these key abdominal points like Ren 4. Ren 4 is very commonly used to help to kind of boost the kidney yang because it is called Guanyuan, which is the barrier before the source or the hinge before the source. And then Ren 12, which is the central space, the central cavity over the stomach, and then stomach 36. So treating the middle burner, warm the interior, expel cold. For heat, very commonly we see points like large intestine 11 and Du 14, which eliminate heat from the body, particularly in situations of excess heat. For exterior heat, we also have Li4 to open the pores, release the exterior, and for deficiency heat, which is a type of interior heat, which arises from kidney yin deficiency, we'll see points that help to nourish the kidney yin and clear deficiency heat, like kidney 3 and kidney 6. Dampness typically involves the spleen, and so we will see spleen points like spleen 9, which is the Hussey point and water point. Spleen 9 is probably the most commonly indicated point for damp conditions. Also, bladder 20, which is the back shoe point for the spleen. And then commonly you will see points like Ren 9. Ren 9 is an important point to disinhibit urination. The name of it is Shui Fen, which means the place where the fluids part from the solid waste in the small intestine. So it's basically a point which helps to promote urination. If there is damp heat, then we add large intestine 11 to clear heat. In summer heat is basically a type of heat that comes during the summer. Its manifestations oftentimes look kind of like heat stroke, and so it's a type of pathogenic or excess heat. So we use large intestine 11 and do 14. And oftentimes summer heat combines with dampness. So if there is dampness, we can add spleen 9. Phlegm is a secondary pathogen, which is to say that it arises due to the influence of other pathogenic factors. Phlegm typically, although it can go anywhere in the body, resides in a few key areas. The stomach and lung are said to be the containers of phlegm, and additionally, phlegm can obstruct the heart, leading to problems of communication and cognition. Phlegm typically arises from stagnant, untransformed fluids, i.e. dampness, and so we'll use spleen 9 very commonly, as well as stomach 40. Stomach 40 is probably the most commonly used point for phlegm. If there is heat, then we can add large intestine 11. So spleen 9 and stomach 40 together typically will be combined to treat phlegm with large intestine 11 if there's heat. Additionally, if there is phlegm in the lung 5 is used. Down bears lung qi helps to eliminate phlegm. And then if there is phlegm in the heart, pericardium 5 is generally the choice for phlegm obstructing the heart. So putting these together and putting them with the Zhangfu, we come up with these key points. For the lung, exterior patterns, wind heat or wind cold, we see large intestine 4 and lung 7. And you can add, if there is heat, i.e. wind heat, large intestine 11 and triple burner 5. If there is phlegm, lung 5 and stomach 40. If there is heat, you can add lung 10. Lung 5 commonly used for lung heat, but if there is phlegm heat, you may also, additionally to clear heat, use lung 10, the fire point. For qi deficiency, lung 9, spleen 3. This is both yuan source points, and this is also our sort of 5-phase strategy for tonifying lung qi as well, and bladder 13, the back shu point for the lung. For yin deficiency, typically we'll see points to clear heat like lung 5. Lung 5 is the water point. Lung 9 is the yuan source point, as well as kidney 3 to nourish kidney yin as the foundation for the yin of the body. For heart pathologies, very commonly you will see heart 7 and bladder 15. Heart 7 is the gate of the spirit, Shenmen. Bladder 15 is Xinshu, the back shu point for the heart. These can be used pretty much universally for heart pathologies, but there are some points which are a little more specific to the various substance or pathogenic patterns, and so we'll go through those now. For qi deficiency, heart 7, the source point, bladder 15, the back shu point, along with stomach 36, tonify qi. For blood deficiency, heart 7, bladder 15, along with spleen 6, bladder 17 with moxa. For yang deficiency, kidney 3, because the kidney yang is the foundational yang of the body, along with heart 5. You can use heart 7, but heart 5 commonly is used, particularly in cases where you have yang deficiency or even heart qi deficiency. For yin deficiency, kidney 3 or kidney 6, which is a little more for deficiency heat, along with heart 6. Again, you can use heart 7, but heart 6 is a little more specific towards heart yin deficiency, and bladder 15. For heart fire, this is heart 8, which is the yin spring point, the fire point, and so is used to drain heart fire. And kidney 6, which is used to clear deficiency heat, nourish yin, along with the alarm or moo point, Ren 14. And if you have the heart fire downpouring into the small intestine with the red urine and things like that, then you can add stomach 39, which is the lower hussy point for the small intestine, as well as Ren 4, which is the moo point. For heart blood stasis, I have here spleen 4 and pericardium 6. Spleen 4 and pericardium 6 is a master coupled combination for the Chongmai and the Yinwei Mai, as well as pericardium 4, which is a very important point for blood stasis, and then Ren 17, which is the moo point for the pericardium. Typically, you will see in cases like blood stasis and phlegm, the pericardium treated in favor of the heart. So for phlegm, we treat pericardium 5 and stomach 40, as we've seen before. For blood stasis, typically we'll treat pericardium 4, pericardium 6. For spleen and stomach pathologies, these are typically pathologies of the qi and of the yang. For the stomach, we have rebellious qi, and we also have excess heat. So for spleen qi deficiency, you see the basic points for qi deficiency like spleen 6 and stomach 36 and bladder 20, along with spleen 3, the yuan source point, earth point. For yang deficiency, you can use the points for qi deficiency and add kidney yang tonifying points like kidney 7, bladder 23 with moxa. For stomach rebellious qi, in order to downbear the stomach qi, we have pericardium 6 along with stomach 36 and Ren 12, the front moo point for the stomach. And for stomach heat, we have stomach 44, which is the yin spring point or water point to help to clear heat from the stomach, and stomach 34, which is the shi cleft point for the stomach, as well as Ren 12. For the liver and gallbladder, qi stagnation, we see liver 3, liver 14. You can also use Li4 along with liver 3 as we saw before, and gallbladder 34 frequently combined with these points. For liver blood deficiency, you can see spleen 6 and bladder 17 with moxa, along with liver 3. Liver 8 may also be used here because it is the 5-phase tonification point, it's the water point, so it engenders wood. For liver fire, you will typically see the yin spring points to clear heat. So liver 2, which is the fire point, gallbladder 43, which is the water point. They are both yin spring points and both used to clear heat, along with triple burner 6, which clears heat from the triple burner. For liver yang rising, typically the idea is to anchor the yang, and thus you see points which are going to nourish liver yin, like liver 3, kidney 3, along with du 20. Yang rising is closely related to wind, and so we will see these du mai points used for yang rising as well. For gallbladder damp heat, typically gallbladder damp heat arises with rib side pain, gallbladder problems, and so you'll see gallbladder 24, which is the moo point, gallbladder 34, which is the hussy point, and also gallbladder 43, which clears heat from the gallbladder. For the kidney, the basic point combination is kidney 3, bladder 23. It pretty much does it all in terms of the kidney, and you can use it for any kidney related situation. For yang deficiency, very commonly you will see du 4, which is the point for the Mingmen or the fire at the gate of life. especially treated with moxibustion. For yin deficiency, you may see kidney 6, which is an important point for kidney yin deficiency, especially if there's heat. If there's deficiency fire, then you may see kidney 2, for example, which is the fire point. But you can use kidney 3, bladder 23 there as well. For kidney qi deficiency, you see kidney 3, bladder 23, stomach 36. For kidney essence deficiency, oftentimes you will see Du4 as well as Ren4. Ren4 is like the Dantian point, right? It's the point that is below the navel, the hinge or the gate at the source, along with kidney 3, the source point, and Du4, the Mingmen point. For bladder damp heat, then typically you will see points for dampness like spleen 9, the back shu point for the bladder, bladder 28, and then Ren shu, the front mu point for the bladder. Finally, for the large intestine, you will typically see points like stomach 25, bladder 25, the front mu and back shu point, and then points like stomach 37, which is the lower husi point. So for damp heat, stomach 25, stomach 37, plus LA11, clear heat, spleen 9, dry damp. For cold, you see moxibustion on stomach 25, front mu point, bladder 25, back shu point, Ren 12, influential point for the fu organs, and stomach 37, lower husi point for the large intestine. And for dryness, this usually involves dry stool constipation. There is a well-known combination of triple burner 6 and kidney 6, which is used to move dry stool, and then you have spleen 6 to help to nourish yin, and stomach 25, the front mu point for the large intestine. All right, that about covers it, and hope that this has been useful to you. And if there's any questions or so, then you can go ahead and reach out and contact me.